Hello and welcome to another Workout Wednesday walkthrough. I'm Curtis Harris, and this is week 50. This week we're looking at what looks to be a fairly straightforward challenge. We have a trellis chart of pies split out by states, a little bit of interactivity driven by the parameter in the title, and what I'm imagining is going to be the biggest challenge of this is just figuring out the rest of technology or rest of matching category color. So if I just take a quick glance at this, I know I'm going to have to find the category of the subcategory that's in focus and figure out the sales or whatever the measure is for the rest of that category, excluding the subcategory in focus. So I think that will just be a little bit of calculation work. Shouldn't be too difficult, but I've been fooled many times here. So we'll see if this ends up being hard or easy or somewhere in the middle. Let's get started. So let's check out the requirements really quick. We have dashboard size is 800 by 800, no big deal. Create a pie chart for each state, no big deal. Use a parameter that describes each subcategory, no big deal. Highlight the sales of the selected subcategory and also highlight the remaining sales for the remainder of subcategories that share the same category. So there's the wrench I was mentioning. It's exactly what I thought it was going to be just from a quick glance at the picture. Color by category, use this certain color palette, no big deal. Jedi level, no hard coding category to subcategory. I think I can do that. And create the legend using a separate sheet. No big deal. And match the tooltips. So I think this one's going to be pretty easy. There are a bunch of different ways you can build this trellis chart. I'm actually going to do it a different way than I imagine a lot of you are going to do that. And I'll show you why, and we'll talk about why I'm doing it that way. So let's get started. I'll open up the Tableau public workbook so we have something to balance to, and I will open up Tableau so we can get building. Okay, for one, I want to focus on one state. I want to build this out for one state in one subcategory and just get it right there. And from that point on, things are going to become a lot easier for us if we can just match the values of one state. And I'm going to take the Sean Miller approach where I'm going to build a table first just to get my calculations right. This would be a little bit harder to build if we were to just try to build it into the pie chart. It would be a lot easier to build if we can just figure out how to form a calculation that creates this dimension that splits the pie into those three slices. And that's what I want to do. I want to create one dimension that evaluates to either the subcategory in focus, the word rest of technology, or the words all others. So let's go ahead and do that. And the first thing we need to do, and the key to all of it really, is creating a parameter based on subcategory. So I'll right-click subcategory and do this the easy way. Go to the create and select parameter. And that's going to take the values from the field itself and build a parameter for me. Easy enough. So I have our subcategory parameter and our subcategory. And like I said, we want to build one single field that kind of blends all three of those concepts. So let's take subcategory and category out onto the view. I'm going to remove the hierarchy because I don't want that interaction in the final product. And we're going to build a calculation that will either match the parameter. Right now it's on accessories. Say the word technology in accessories, or say all others. So let's work on that. And we can do this piece by piece and see if we can get it right. So let's get this view here. Let's make our font a little bit bigger so you all can see. And let's do fit height. Okay, so that should work. I'm just going to call this something like dimension. And the first one's really easy. It's does the subcategory match the parameter? And we can spell that out really quickly. So if subcategory equals the subcategory parameter, then subcategory. And we'll just end it and put this on our view so we can see it come into form as we build it out. Let's do entire view. So here we have accessories. It matches the parameter. If I switch this around, we're going to get that value where we want it. We want everything else to be null because we're going to fill those in with this calculation. Let's do a new line here. So we'll spell it out really plain and straightforward. So if the subcategory is not equal to the subcategory parameter, and we want to find the category that this matches to. So we're eliminating the match there on accessories. Now we need to figure out the category that accessories is in. To do that, I'm going to build an inline if statement in here. So we'll say if subcategory is equal to the subcategory parameter, then give me the category, or else give me nothing. Now we can say if the category is equal to that, the category matching the parameter, then we're going to display the category. The only wrench here is this is at the row level, so this is only going to return anything at the accessory level. We need to actually set this at the data source. So we're going to build a quick level of detail. We're going to open a curly brace, write the word max, and close it off. And that's all we need to do. So this says at the data source level, if you have a level of detail calculation, you open it with a curly brace and you omit the word fixed, you're implying fixed. So you don't need to write the word. So we're saying at the data source level, fixed by nothing, give me the max matching category. And if those two match, then we want to display category. And if I hit apply, we're going to get technology on all of the other ones. So we're seeing technology here and not up here on accessories because we've already done that. The if statement works from top to bottom. So it matched the first one, subcategory is equal to subcategory param, and we're going to display the subcategory. When those two are not equal to each other, so we're throwing out this line, even though we don't need to, and we're finding where the category matches the fixed at the data source level category of the subcategory in focus. In every other scenario, we just want to say all others. Okay. So how is this going to map here on the view? So we want the actual subcategory. And I forgot I need to add the words rest of to my matching category and then all others for the rest. So we have that. That's great. Let's pick something in a different category. Maybe we'll do art. So we have art, rest of office supplies, and everything else swaps out to all others. So now we have a calculation that will always be one of three things that will create our pie slices and our colors. And we're good to go. What I'm going to do here is actually create a copy because I want this to be in the right order every time. These words are going to change around, so the ordering will get kind of thrown off if I just use it this way. So I'm going to change this to a number and then just use all those same scenarios and swap it out for 1, 2, 3. And we'll just call it something different. Color and sort. So now we have two things. And now the order and the color is always going to stay the same, even as we navigate into different levels of the alphabet here with subcategory. So that's good to go. Okay, I think we're pretty much good here. Let's start to build these pie charts. So I'm going to put state of Alabama in focus. I'm going to use sales, and I'm going to use our dimension, and then I'm just going to use show me to build a pie chart. I actually just want dimension on detail, and I want dimension color and sort on the color shelf. Let's go ahead and change our parameter back to accessories so we can validate how this looks in the view. So we have 2300, 6600, we have 2300, 6600, and 10,500, and it looks right. So that's good. We can edit our colors. It's set to use the winter palette. We can do our ones, that darker green, twos, the lighter green, and we'll pull up our Seattle grays for the all others. Okay, beautiful. This has a nice little design trick that I like to do. I usually like to match my borders to the background color, so it looks kind of like it's floating there. So we're going to go to our color card and click a white border. So now we have that's looking good. We're also going to put state on our labels. We're going to put it at the top. We're going to make this smaller. So now this one Alabama pie chart looks exactly like this other one in the challenge. We just need to go in and edit our tooltip. So we want, looks to be state and a pipe and the dimension name. So let's take our state out. Let's take this out. Make that bold. And then we're going to have our sales right below it. And we're going to take off the bold there. So that looks about right. Looks like we actually have a percentage of total in here as well. So let's figure that out. First, I'm going to go change the format of the sales dollar amount because we have it in thousands there. And quickly, I'm just going to duplicate sales and add a table calculation for the percent of total. I'm going to go edit this and put it on every level here, and I think that will be fine. I don't know what happened. Something went strange. Percent of total. This looked to be a little bit smaller. Why are those all zeros all of a sudden? That's strange. They weren't zero. Oh, okay. Why did you take away my sales Tableau? That was weird. So we have that. We need to go to our format because it took it from the other one. And now we're at 12, 34, and 54. So we have 12, 34, and 54. And that was just me being somewhat of an idiot. Okay, so let's save this workbook because we don't want to lose that. I think we're good. We have one pie that matches exactly the same as the workout, and we just need to build this trellis. So you could do this in a variety of different ways. There is a calculation out there that takes ints and square roots and modulos and all that crazy math shit that you don't need to know, and I wouldn't be able to explain it to you. So with that being said, I don't like to teach things that I can't explain myself, so I'm not going to do that. You're welcome to go find it yourself. It's a pretty easy Google, but you should know what you're doing when you do something in Tableau, and I don't feel comfortable doing that because I don't really know what it means. We could also split this into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sheets and just layer them on top of each other. That would be one way. Little tedious for me, so I don't think I'm going to do that. What I'm actually going to do is just build a scaffold that will create the columns and rows for us. We know that there are a finite amount of states in the United States, and as far as we know, who knows really whatever goes on here, as far as we know, there will be no additional states added to this country anytime soon. So we can just go ahead and build a quick scaffold and set it up once, and we're done. So let's open Excel or Google Sheets or whatever you have and just map this out. I'm going to go back to Tableau, create a new sheet that's just state. I'm going to grab all the data out of here because I want it exactly how Tableau has it. Copy it and paste it into Excel. And we can do our row and a column. And we know we have 7 rows. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm just going to go down the states and do 1 for the first row and 2 for the next row. Did I do 7 or did I do 8? 7. So I'm going to do this a bunch of times. Bear with me. Okay, so there's our rows. Like I said, I only have to do this once. I don't have to build a bunch of different worksheets. This should do the exact same thing for us. And on columns, I'm going to split them out this way. Instead of repeating the numbers, I'm going to vary them by 1 and just paste it down. And now I can just take this data, copy it, and paste it right into Tableau, which will give us our state scaffold. Okay, we have that. I'm going to go over to my pie chart and blend on state. It's already done it for us because they're matching names. And I'm going to just put those fields on columns and rows and take off my state filter. And this will give us our trellis chart. So now I have everything that's in the workout. I didn't have to do anything fancy. I just built a quick scaffold that will live on forever until we add new states to the country. And at that point, it's really not too hard to figure out how to add a new row. And I can just turn these off, and nobody has to know any wiser what's going on. They just think there's a nice looking trellis panel laid out for them. So right now we can just go in and kind of remove all the stuff that we don't need. I don't know why my sales keeps getting screwed up. I must have taken off the wrong one. So let's go back to our worksheet and add back in sales for whatever reason. So that's there. We have our chart. This looks exactly right. It's exactly how I want it. If I go to appliances, actually, I think there was some weird coloring going on the challenge. So let's see if we can figure that out really quick. Let's go to art, because I know that's in a different category. Okay, so we got like purple thing when we're on a different category. So it's not really the 1, 2, 3. It's the combination of 1, 2, 3 and the matching category. So let's go into our dimension field and let's just look at this one little piece. We just need this. Okay, so we're just going to find the matching subcategory or the matching category and use that on color as a secondary field. So if we put this on our detail and then click the little ellipses and assign that to color as well, we can get things going here. I'm going to put that on top because I want to do things this way. So we can go to our winter, and office supplies was the purple. the number 3 is always going to be the gray. Okay, let's go back to our technology category. Go to winter, assign the appropriate colors, and move on. And then we should have one more, I don't know. Seriously. Furniture, is that the right one? There we go. Tables in the east, am I right? And what is furniture? Pinkish. Okay, so one requirement that almost slipped by. I think we're good now. And the only other thing to do is just to build out this legend. And let's see if we can get that really quick. So I'm going to take my dynamic dimension that we built and throw that on the view. I'm also going to just build myself an axis there. I'm going to change this to Gantt bar with our dimension as the label. So now we're getting there. Looking almost right. I can't just size this up and down. That really just controls the height. I need to actually give it a field. I don't want it to go very far. I don't want it to go a full 1. So I'm going to do something like 10%. So if I said 0.1, this should give us like a nice little bar here. And what we can do is just make sure that this is like somewhere in the middle. So now we're pretty consistent. It looks fine. No big deal there. We're going to do the matching category on here. We're going to do the dimension, color, and sort on here, just like we did with the other ones. So now we're looking okay. We can just move this sorting. So I'm going to go up here, sort the dimension by a field. Okay, so we're good there. And now it's just a matter of cleaning stuff up. We don't need to see any of this garbage. We're just going to make this look like a legend. And to do that, we need to go turn off all the grid lines, all the dividers, all of the everything, really. So now we're just left with this nice little setup. We can make our labels a little bit bigger, something like that. We're going to match the mark color. Maybe we'll make them a little bolder. The requirements don't really say anything about this, so I'm not sure what it should be, but we'll just call it bold. And we'll turn off the tooltips so no one can touch them. Okay, so we're just about done. We're going to wrap this up really quick here. I'm going to throw a floating vertical on the screen as per my usual. What do we have? We have a title. Okay. So we're going to throw text box. It's just going to hold for now. We're going to throw our legend here, and we're going to throw our trellis there. Hide that. Hide that. Delete. That's not looking quite right, is it? Okay, so not very good. Maybe this has something to do with our axis here. What if we just reset this? Okay, that looks better. So moving on, let's take this as normal. I'm just going to copy it straight from the web page because I don't want to type it. So we look okay there. Looks a little different here, so I'm guessing the font size is just off. How much does blah make up of blah? Okay, that looks good. And all we need to do now is just float our subcategory parameter onto that spot. I don't usually like to float things on top of tiled things, but I'm not really sure how else to do that quickly. So one-time exception. Hide the title and drop this right there. Put this, say, at 5, maybe even 0. Okay, so there we go. How much does blah make up of total sales? If we swap this, we should get this red look with 2.4, 4.0, and 13.2. Okay, the percentages looked fine, 12, 20, 68. Let's pick Idaho. 1.8 and 42%. 1.8, 42%. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's enough tests to call this good. And I think that looks just about right. I'm going to add a caption to this worksheet. And we will just quickly write this out. So we won't make it fancy. Workout Wednesday 2018. Good enough. Let's make this a little smaller so it gives our pie chart a little more focus. We'll just make it 50. So that looks good. I think we're done. Hopefully this was a pretty simple one for everyone. Hopefully I gave you some tips on building solutions that make a little bit of sense. Sometimes we get tempted to build things because they're cool, to use calculations because we can, to do things that we can do pretty easily without calculations, like this scaffold setup that we built here in the video. Not saying you should do that. You could definitely go use the calculation. This was only an exercise to say you should be building things that you understand how they got built, which is why I did not go find the scaffold or the trellis calculation, because I can't explain it back to you, which I feel like is a very valuable component to our jobs as we do this in our real lives. Is being able to explain what we did to our end users. So always keep that in mind as you're building these things out. There are many ways to do things in Tableau, and being able to know what you did and how you did it is just as important as getting to the finish line there. So hopefully this was helpful. I'll publish this video and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.